Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is No South, No South Capital, coming to you on a rather warm evening from the Southern Hemisphere. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're all aware there was a lot of excitement last night, yesterday, should I say, concerning Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. I think it all got started when the markets opened and things took off. And then, of course, the crypto environment followed suit, and we saw some great price rise, as is evidenced by just looking at this particular candle here, which was from yesterday. Bitcoin hit 104,000, albeit briefly. Actually, I was awake when that happened. I was watching when it hit 104 for about 10-15 seconds and then fell. And it's hit over 104,000 today, and for a very short time, of course, and then subsequently fallen back. As exciting as it was, a couple of friends of mine actually had a crypto watch party last night, particularly for Bitcoin. Now, I didn't stay up, but they did. And it was fun. The little while, I hung out with them for a little while, but it was fun and a good laugh. But anyway, we're here for the rough and ready crypto analysis, and of course, no financial advice. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we start with our areas of demand and supply. We've got 1, 2, 3. I think there's a fourth one. I think there's an overlap here. If you look very closely, there's an overlap between two areas of demand. And of course, up here, we've got the area of supply. Now, last week, I said that if the price was able to break through 90, I think it was 96,600, then next spot, of course, is going to be 103. And if there's enough volume momentum, we can actually break through. Now we've hit 103, 104, and because it's an area of supply, we've seen it kind of pause. Now, that does not mean that this is the end of the story. To me, it looks quite strong, and I believe it's going to go up to at least, maybe we hit 109 sometime within the next week or two or so. We'll see. There's a slight suspicion here that hitting this spot, we might have a little bit of a retracement before we take off, but we shall have to wait and see about that. But if there's enough momentum, particularly enough volume to go around, then yes, we're going to break through. Now, after 109, ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to try and start speculating where it's going. Now, some of my past videos, you have seen, I believe it's a double bottom pattern on my video, on my chart, positing that Bitcoin is going to hit 124,041. So something between, let's say, $123,000 and $125,000. Some have said 150, some have said 250, but wait and see. I don't want to over speculate, but I would like to think that yes, Bitcoin is going to go up. Now, when will it get to 120 something thousand? No one knows. We can just speculate, we can guess, but no one knows. I quickly switch over to the weekly here just to have a quick look at our volume profile and see how strong it is. Not too strong here, it's just sort of fairly even, not too many dips in terms of low volume. We just have to wait and see. Once it gets to 109, I don't really want to posit too much as to what will happen. I suspect that the 109 is going to go up, maybe even further, but we shall just have to wait and see what happens. Again, here, volume profile, fairly even. Nothing dramatic. The dramatic part was this area here. That was the 96,600 area here, and it's gone past that, the 103 to 106,000. And I can only see one thing, and that is that we should expect some higher prices. But how soon that's going to happen, we just have to wait and see. Okay, next is Ethereum, and this was. We all know Ethereum has had a very bad time, horrible time of it, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of an ugly but fairly even looking volume profile. And we've got 1, 2 areas of demand and 1, 2, 3 areas of supply. Ethereum has kind of picked up a bit. I think some of the good, apart from the momentum from the whole Bitcoin thing, the whole market thing, some good news. I think there's an update on Ethereum that would make some change, although I can't remember exactly which update it is now, but I know there's some kind of upgrade. And things that Vitalik Buterin was talking about that was going to happen for sometime in 2030. Now, in crypto terms, the year 2030 is probably, I don't think, if care is not taken, maybe even Ethereum, maybe even Bitcoin might not be around in 2030. We never know. Excuse me. You never know what is going to happen because new things keep coming onto the market all the time. New things are being developed. And innovation has not stopped. One moment, please. So, we just have to see what Ethereum brings to the table over time. A series of lower highs and lower lows, as you can see here. Let's just see. Let's do our usual. Let's put the Ichimoku cloud on, as we always do, just to have a look. Let's see if we can see some kind of sentiment. As you can see there, this is now weekly bullish because the price has broken through the cloud, and as you can see, the cloud's at an incline here. 10% is above the Kenyan Sem, but that's also within the cloud, and of course Chukwuspan running free, which is really nice to see, but it's still stuck within the cloud. Now, if Ethereum should break this area here, if we can, I think we might be able to get to something like what's this area here? I think we might be able to hit like 2,700, 2,750, that area. And this place, this area of supply being quite thin, with enough momentum, could actually break through and head towards this region here, and that's at about 3,200 and something. This area here. Now, how soon it's going to get there, I couldn't possibly tell you, but this, for the first time in a while, is looking a bit promising. And maybe, just maybe, if this momentum continues, we might just get there. Again, look at this area here, look at your volume profile, look at that area here. If it breaks through here, it's going to go up fairly quickly because of the lack of volume in your volume profile in this particular region between about 2,850 to the region of about 3,100. So if it breaks through this area, it's going to go quickly up to this area here. Now, this is a bit thicker level of an area of supply. It's not impossible to get through, but it's going to need quite a bit of volume. And as you can see, it's going to be an area of quite a big activity. So it's going to require some momentum, some volume momentum to actually get through. Okay. It looks promising so far, but let's just wait and see. Because there's so much going on, one does not want to over-speculate on this matter. So, next, Binance. I've kind of got it wrong, but okay. You know, I normally do it alphabetically, but I've got this one wrong, but let's just do Binance. Okay, here's Binance. We're not going to waste too much time on this. A fairly even, very thick area on your volume profile, which means that going back up could be quite difficult if care is not taken. Look how thick. This is two areas of supply here. Areas of demand generally has held up since about mid-April. There's not much exciting news in Binance. We should just have to wait and see how it plays out with this particular cryptocurrency. It's now 635. Interesting. That's nice. Nice increase in volume there, in price there. Let's just throw on a Ichimoku. Like I said, there's nothing too exciting about Binance. And this, for the first time in a while, is now showing that it is bullish. You can see Chukwuspan running beautifully, it's running free. Price action is also, and it's above the cloud. Price action is also running free above the cloud. 10% and Kenyan Sem, if you look very closely here, you can just about see them. They're also but stuck within the price action here. But cloud fairly flat, and they're coming from a very strong area of demand. Now, if things continue, if there's enough volume momentum, with enough volume, we could break through. If we break through this area here, I can assure you that we're going to be hitting about $700 should be the target on this one. Let's just wait and see. But now we're in a kind of bullish, and it's now bullish, fully bullish for Binance. I said, let's not waste any time on Binance. Let's move on. So we go to Solana. Now, Solana, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, has been seriously undervalued, in my opinion, considering that the amount of total value locked, the amount of transactions, the fees earned, and the development, the continuous development going on, and many other platforms or some kinds of networks are all thinking of moving over to Solana, or have moved over to Solana. I'm surprised that the price is still down here in the doldrums. It's just, I just don't get it. But still very strong, very, very strong cryptocurrency. If you look at this chart here, we've got 1, 2 areas of demand, and we've got 1, 2, 3 areas of supply. The areas of supply are not too bad. This area here, we could see the Solana price actually break through. I think Solana yesterday hit 164. Today, I know it was in the early 170s, 176. Currently, it's about 171.8. With a bit more volume, we could easily be looking at 186. Yeah, 180. Sorry, 186. Let's see. 196, I beg your pardon, quite easily. And this is what we're kind of expecting, and we hope is going to happen. For Solana should be right up here, $200 and something, $300. Why it's still down here is baffling, but it will have its day. And when it has its day, I promise you, we are going to see I believe we're going to see over $300 on this one, because this is the platform that has shown there's an immense amount of activity going on, an immense amount of progress. And we must, it is almost compulsory. And as I said, no financial advice, but it's almost compulsory that you have a piece of the action when it comes to Solana. Okay, Solana is weekly bullish at the moment, becoming bullish. As you can see, prices outside of the cloud. Tencent is above the Kinji-sen, they're also out of the cloud. Chikuspan is still cutting the cloud, but I think within the next 2-3 days it could be out of that cloud, making it fully bullish. This area here is a bit sparse volume-wise, which means, as I've always told you, that when you have this, you would be able to see the price action move up very quickly. Now we've got this area here and this area here, and that is why I said if we could get through these two areas here, we're looking at between $196 and $200 a token. Should one continue to accumulate some Solana, if you can get your hands on Solana at a cheaper price, maybe at about 165, between 160 and 165, amen to that. I think you should, and try and be in this market. This is not a particular token that one should miss. Okay, so next we go on to Sui, and Sui has been very, very strong. Fairly even volume profile. We've got 1, 2 areas of demand and 1, 2 areas of supply. As you can see here, that area here is kind of the sparse volume. You can see that the price is basically zoomed through, and we're also zooming through here. We've got a bit of area of supply, a little bit of resistance. I suspect some are taking profits, particularly those who have speculated in a much earlier time. Let's see if there's more momentum. If we can break this area here, if we break the $4.30, I think the next port of call will be $4.70, but that's to be seen. Another very good project. I think they just had some kind of convention recent, like the last few days or so, over the last weekend, if I stand to be corrected, but I know it happened very recently. And a lot of things happen there. I think those things, I'm not going to go into all those things. Those things require, in my opinion, a separate video for that, because it's there's so many important things. I think I might have to try even get somebody on who can really explain this SUI, but we'll wait and see. Okay. Next is Moodeng. And now the Moodeng holders. I have told you infinite patience, infinite patience, infinite patience. I think that patience is paying off. I told you that when we start breaking through here, it's going to go up. Volume profile here, fairly even, except a little bit sparse at the top, which means that if it breaks this area, it's going to zoom way back to the top. But we are down here. As you can see, I mentioned breaking here, this area region here, which is about 5 cents, and now breaking this area here, which is the point of control, and it's broken that. And I think the next port of call, all things being equal with enough momentum, I think we're looking at about 21 cents. If you're a holder of Moodeng, you're still going to require some patience to be able to sort of recoup most of the losses. And if you're a speculator and you bought at about 3 cents, you should be laughing all the way to the bank at the moment. This is just a fantastic opportunity to sell at this particular region here for a nice, maybe if you bought at 3 cents, you sell at 21, you're looking at about a 7,000% who knows profit, who knows. Let's look at Ichimoku. Let's just put that on there just to maintain tradition, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, look at that. That's now turning, it's now become bullish. It's out of the cloud. Tenkan-sen and Kinji-sen just behind the price action. Chikuspan running free. So let's keep our fingers crossed to see the market improve over time. So I think enough said about Moodeng. And let's hit WIF. WIF also showed some level of strength. Very thin area of demand. 1, 2, 3 areas of supply. Now the volume here is not that much, which means that if the price breaks here, it can easily, if it breaks, let's see, if price breaks about 79 cents, we are easily looking at about $1.70, some 74. So easily. This, as you can see, volume is quite sparse, which means that the price action can zoom right through with enough volume momentum here. So you can see the volume profile is already telling you this area here is an overlap between 2 areas of supply, which is going to make it difficult. But with enough strength, it can break through. And if it breaks here, ladies and gentlemen, it's going back to its all-time high. No question about that. Probably pause at about $3.40 before it goes back to its all-time high. Just have to wait and see. Let's just throw on our Ichimoku just for, as always, for tradition. It too is now, has now turned bullish. Look at that. A little bit weakly bullish. You can see that Chikuspan is running free, but it's caught up within the cloud. But that doesn't, I don't think it's going to be too difficult to come out of that. Price action is out of the cloud. The Tenkan-sen, I believe, is out of the cloud, but the Kinji-sen is just inside the cloud, just out of the cloud as well. So this is bullish. Let's hope that that trend continues so that you can get back on track. And if you don't particularly enjoy this particular token anymore, you can divest yourself as soon as you get to an agreeable price. So that's that. Oops. And then finally, I'm just going to look at Pi Network, as I promised some people I would. And Pi, remember I told you at one time Pi was going to not go below 60. It did. It dipped under 60 and came back very quickly. It's currently selling at about 72 cents 41 or 42 there. Volume is fairly sparse, which means that with enough momentum, it could really just zoom back up quite easily. Look at that. Look at the very low volume here. And so, and a few sparse areas there as well. Not particularly strong volume profile, which means that the price action here could easily go back up and zoom through. I've always told you that. And that's what's going to happen. I think that if it zooms it might get about $1.80, and that would be very nice before it pauses and then carries on. Is Pi Network still a buy? Yes. Anything under $1, I think you should accumulate if you can, or get in now, or start getting in now. If I were you, anything under $1, try and get in, and you can take it from there. Of course, as you can see, no areas of demand or supply, so this is going to be running free. We shall see over time. We shall keep an eye on it. I won't do rough and ready crypto on this all the time, but I'll keep an eye out, and I'll keep you informed. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a bit more. There seems to be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for the crypto markets. Still early days yet, but we should sort of look out for it, and hopefully have a good tail. Tail to tell. I hope that we would have very encouraging prices, particularly with the uncertainty within the geopolitical and geoeconomic uncertainty. We should have some pretty good prices. Oh, and one more thing, which reminds me. I don't know, some of you may have picked this up, but we all know how companies are going for Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. Now, we know that the situation in Bitcoin is a bit scarce, and I don't think there's going to be enough Bitcoin to go around anyway, considering what is left. I think there's only about 1 million Bitcoin. Please correct me on this one if I'm wrong, but I think there's about 1 million Bitcoin left to be mined. Because of this apparent scarcity that is definitely on the horizon, even though it's not, the alarm bells are not ringing yet. Ladies and gentlemen, some companies are now beginning to look at Solana as their next strategic reserve. This is something that is very important. This is why I have said Solana is seriously undervalued. Seriously undervalued. And I think that now that companies are thinking that, you also, as an investor and as a trader, you should start thinking of your strategic reserve. And part of your strategic reserve, apart from gold and silver and the usual suspects, you're going to have Bitcoin, of course. And I think the next thing you're going to have is Solana. As always, not financial advice, but I think a word is not for wise. I think people should consider it. And if you are not, do some due diligence, look at it, see what you think. Maybe just buy some as contingency for the future. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's me. So keep your eyes and ears open, and you're trading sharp. Have a good one. Bye.